I almost killed my first tree by pruning this way. I remember being so frustrated that my tree wasn't producing fruit and I had no idea what I was doing wrong. And if you're like me, then making this same mistake, you could be limiting your tree's potential for years. Luckily, I learned from my mistake and now my trees are thriving. But don't worry, today I'm going to show you exactly how to prune for maximum fruit, stronger branches and healthier trees. And stick around because later in the video I'll reveal a little known pro tip that can double your fruit production. But first, let me show you the #1 pruning mistake that almost every gardener makes. I'm Tony O'Neill and this is Simplified Gardening. Most gardeners think pruning's just about trees looking neat, but it's actually about directing the tree's energy towards fruit production. What's your biggest pruning challenge? Let me know in the comments. Left unpruned, trees grow wildly, wasting energy on weak, unproductive branches. But when we prune the right way, we tell the trees, hey, focus on growing bigger, better fruit. Think about it this way, if you don't prune your tree, it's like a student with too many assignments and no focus. It tries to do everything all at once, but doesn't do anything well. Pruning keeps your tree focused on producing fruit instead of wasting energy on unnecessary growth. But here's something most people don't realise. Pruning isn't just about better fruit, it's about keeping the tree alive and thriving for decades. When a tree is left to grow unchecked, branches become too heavy and they snap under their own weight. Diseases can spread easily in dense canopies and old weak limbs can sap energy from the rest of the tree. By removing these weak and unnecessary branches, you're helping the tree to distribute resources more efficiently and fight off infections and stand strong against storms and harsh weather. A well-pruned tree isn't just more productive, it's healthier, it's longer lived, so that if you're worried about whether pruning hurts the tree, think of it like pruning is giving your tree a health checkup and removing the bad stuff before it becomes a problem. But the key is knowing when to prune and how to prune and where the most people go wrong. So let's break it down. I get it, cutting into your tree feels scary and you might be thinking, what if I cut the wrong branch? What if I damage my tree beyond repair? Trust me, you're not alone. Many gardeners, especially beginners, are afraid that they might ruin their tree by pruning it incorrectly. Here's the good news. Trees are resilient. Even if you only remove a couple of dead branches, you're already making a positive impact. They have a natural healing mechanism that allows them to seal off wounds and continue growing strong. So even if you make a less than favourable cut, your tree is more likely to recover than suffer long-term damage. To help ease the fear, here's a simple rule of thumb: start small. If you're unsure, begin with the dead or visibly damaged branches. These are safe to remove at any time. As you build confidence, you can move on to shaping thinning cuts, knowing that as long as you follow proper techniques, your tree will bounce back stronger than ever. And here's a tip. If you're new to pruning, start small, just 1 or 2 cuts to get comfortable. You don't need to get it perfect right away. Try practicing on a less valuable tree or a shrub first, and that way you can move on to your prized fruit trees and you'll already have the experience making clean, confident cuts. Winter pruning during the dormant seasons best for apples, pears and peaches. It encourages strong, new growth in spring. Summer pruning after the harvest is best for cherries, plums and citrus, and it helps control the size and the shape without excessive regrowth. Never prune the tree when it's flowering or full of fruit. This stresses the tree and can reduce next season's yield. Pruning at the wrong time can mean fewer fruit and weaker branches. But if you time it right, you'll be able to control the size, maximize fruit production, and keep your trees healthier year round. By the way, if you're finding this useful, Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more expert gardening tips every single week. Have you ever been unsure about which branches to cut? Drop a comment below and let's discuss. A thinning cut removes whole branches back to a major limb or trunk, focusing on branches that are growing inwards or close to each other. Thinning opens up the canopy so that air can get in and sunlight to reach deeper into the tree, and this is crucial for healthy development and disease prevention. With better airflow, fungal diseases have less chance of spread, plus the sunlight helps encourage fruiting wood, ensuring bigger and sweeter fruits. You also reduce crowding, helping your tree direct its energy to the most productive branches. Always use a sharp, clean pruning shears to prevent ragged cuts and infections. Make the cut at the branch collar, the slightly swollen area at the base of the branch, to help the tree heal faster. But first, I'll show you the mistake that could be costing you your fruit. Stay tuned. A heading cut is when you shorten a branch but leave part of it intact. You're essentially telling the tree to sprout new branches right below where you made the cut. Heading cuts encourage bushy new regrowth and stimulates fruit-bearing spurs to form. If your tree looks leggy or you want to fill it out more, heading cuts can make it happen. It helps control the overall height and shape of the tree, promoting new fruit production branches. Think of it like giving your tree a haircut, stimulating healthy regrowth. Cut just above a bud that's facing outwards to guide new branches away from the center of the tree. This maintains an open canopy for better light penetration. Before we move on, remember, don't go overboard with heading cuts. You still need enough foliage to support the tree's health. If your tree's looking out of control, don't worry, I've got a trick that can bring it back to life. Next, we'll tackle a method specifically designed for those big, overgrown trees. You might think that they're hopeless, but they're not. A bench cut involves removing the upward growing branch, often the main tall shoot, and replacing it with a lateral branch. Essentially, you're creating a bench shape so that the tree grows outwards instead of strictly upwards. Bench cuts are fantastic for reducing the overall height of older, overgrown trees, redirecting the plant's energy into the sides of the canopy, which boosts fruit production. This is essential if you've got an older or neglected tree that's been growing sky high with fewer fruits. A good bench cut can help rejuvenate it and push the energy into the lateral branches where fruit can develop more easily. Make sure that lateral branches are leaving behind at least 1/3 of the thickness of the branch you're cutting. This ensures the remaining branch is strong enough to become a new leader. Have you ever pruned a tree a wrong way? Let me know in the comments below. Think of bench cuts like a reset button for an oversized tree, but there's one more piece of the puzzle, the big mistake that can cost you your entire harvest if you're not careful, and I'll reveal that next. Espalier pruning is the art of training trees to grow in a flat plane against a trellis, wall or fence. By carefully guiding and tying in branches to a support structure, you encourage the tree to form a neat two-dimensional shape. This technique optimizes sun exposure and airflow, which can improve fruit quality and reduce disease risk. It's especially useful in smaller yards or decorative gardens where space is a premium. Because the tree is flattened and takes up far less room than a traditional open-grown form. Once established, an espaliered fruit tree can be a striking focal point, combining both visual appeal and high productivity. The next cut is pollarding. Now, pollarding involves cutting back the top branches of a tree to a desired height, often leaving the main trunk and a few stout limbs in place. This forces the tree to produce new, more manageable shoots each growing season. The technique's been used for centuries to keep trees at a controlled size, particularly in formal gardens or urban environments where space and light are limited. By repeating pollinating cycles every year or two, you not only ensure that the tree stays within the designated bounds, but also stimulates fresh, new growth and can be shaped to maintain an aesthetic or functional goal, such as providing dense shade or creating architectural effect. Next cut is coppicing, and coppicing involves cutting a tree close to the ground, usually leaving a short stump to encourage the growth of vigorous new shoots. This method is great for rejuvenating older or damaged trees, especially those species known to resprout readily from the base like willow or hazel. The emergent shoots benefit from the established root system and tend to grow very quickly, giving you a fresh start without having to remove the tree entirely. Coppicing can be repeated every few years, ensuring a steady supply of young branches for firewood, basket weaving or other crafts, all while keeping the tree's root system healthy and actively producing new growth. These specialized methods can be game changers, especially if you're working with a limited space or want to keep your trees productive for the decades to come. Have you ever been unsure about pruning timing? Let me know in the comments below. Fixing overgrown or neglected trees. If your tree hasn't been pruned in years, don't panic. Here's how to restore it step by step. Step 1. Remove the dead and diseased wood first. This prevents disease from spreading and strengthens the tree. Step 2. Thin out all the crossing and crowded branches, because this will increase sunlight penetration and airflow, which will reduce the pests and disease. Step 3. Reduce the height gradually over 2 to 3 seasons. It prevents tree shock and encourages gradual rejuvenation of the entire tree. Pruning an old, overgrown tree all at once can do more harm than good. Think of it like a slow diet for your tree. It's healthier to make changes gradually. Prune at the proper season based on the tree type. Use thinning, heading, bench cuts correctly. Cut just above outward facing buds to direct the growth out. Never remove more than 1/3 of the tree in a single season. Disinfect tools between cuts. If you follow these steps, your trees will be healthier, more productive and easier to maintain. Ensure you're doing it right for great harvests this year. If this video's helped you, hit the like and subscribe buttons and share it with a fellow gardener. And if you want to take your pruning to the next level, then this is the next video that you should watch. I'm Tony O'Neill and this is Simplified Gardening. I'll see you there. Bye bye.